story building. Oh, he did have an active social life here when he was a young bachelor in Asheville. There he is, the king of the rhododendron ball in Asheville in the 30s. So one of the things he decided he wanted to do after he and my mother got married was he wanted to have a farm. So he acquired a large, what became a 150-acre piece of property, rural farmland between Hamilton, where the mill was, and the village where my parents had first lived when they got married. And he also wanted animals. So we had cattle, horses, pigs, and a variety of other animals, that chickens, that supplied us with beetles and applebees. There they are in the first little house in the village of Robertson. So the farm was quite successful, and this is my father with the farm manager. They had one year had the Ohio State champion pig, and I don't know if we ate that hog or not. And the next year, he had his camera sows. They were allowed to be demonstrated in the fancy. So my father, worked his way up in Hamilton headquarters, and worked in his 2 years service, starting out working in Washington outside during the Army, and then came back right before my birthday was discharged. Rose from a major to a lieutenant colonel stationed in the U.S., and then came back right before I was born in October 45, and continued his rise in management. He then got the bug. He was made president in 1950, and then he got the bug for government service. He was given 3 part-time appointments early on in the Eisenhower administration. One was Business Advisory Council, which was an advisory body of prominent businessmen who was Secretary of Commerce on economic issues. The other was to evaluate what was Eisenhower's program to provide aid to friendly countries, a mutual security program. My father was in charge of the businessmen to go to Germany and evaluate how the Germans were dealing with our aid. And the third was something called the Hoover Commission to study the organization of government. And he was put on the committee to provide the defense department and headed up a subcommittee of that. I think these were all tests. He had a very strong ally who helped promote him in these positions, who was the head of the large investment bank and had deep and strong ties to the president. So I think these were tests to see how my father would do with his part-time positions. Apparently impressed them. And they offered him a couple other full-time positions, but he turned them down because they didn't know what he had in mind. That came along in 1955 when the president, that's his former portrait, I think after he came back from Washington. So the president nominated him to be Deputy Secretary of Defense, the number 2 person in the Defense Department. And there he is, being sworn in or accepting his appointment by President Eisenhower. There's our family after he was sworn in the White House, my father was just so happy about this. So he got the appointment. And then it became an integral part of the defense and security infrastructure in Washington. I had to count the number. He became a member of, he attended National Security Council meetings regularly, attended cabinet meetings when the Secretary of Defense wasn't there, and it became, he was by statute or presidential order, a member of something called Operations Coordinating Board, which oversaw covert operations overseas.
Major,
Yes.
are you in this photo?
I'm sorry?
Are you in the photograph here?
Yes, I'm on the right.
Which one?
All the way on the right. So behind me is my oldest brother, Ruben. My mother's holding my youngest brother, George. My sister, Lisa, standing below my father.
So this one is you?
No, to the right.
To the right.
The other right.
This one?
The blonde on the right, who's looking for the nuclear launch money. And that's my sister Marty, right below my brother Dan. So, my father and mother and the three younger children moved to Washington. My brothers were in school here in North Carolina, so they didn't get the benefit of the experience. So my father, one of the things, in addition to these important national security council meetings, my father did a trip to Asia to visit. They head to a number of countries in group settings, usually met with successive heads of the United Kingdom, ministers. And we took an Asian trip in 1956 to visit our allies in Asia. And this is my father eating with Chiang Kai-shek on the right. He was head of the Republic of Korea, the Republic of China. This is my Chiang Kai-shek's wife is quite well known as well. This is my mother and father, Madam Chang. And this is my father with Chiang Kai-shek and Madam Chang at some social event. The first one was, that was my father meeting the ambassador in Chiang Kai-shek with his, one of his military aides. So during this period, well, anyway, one of the things that occurred is, I think my father mentioned this, Vice President Nixon's visit to the program in 1956. My father was supposed to come. They flew Nixon there. My father was supposed to be on the plane, the Champion plane. And my father at the last minute decided not to go, and I don't know why. So my grandfather was the host that weekend of Billy Graham and the Vice President. So I had there's a lot of cousins who told the story of this dish over the weekend. It was quite shocking. So many of the family members had this dish. The story was this was Nixon's first travel per car. Everyone was standing used to this business of political aid in the background. Billy Graham enjoying it. Billy Graham was a friend of mine. We started the Zoom calls a couple of years ago when the pandemic he told us during one of these Zoom calls that when she caught the fish, and if he got away from her, he was to amuse himself with what he caught. Just she was and a good fisher. So this is, I don't know who the down on the left are, but that's the vice president, my grandfather, Billy Graham, and some other person. And they had a big deal of oops. And there are my grandparents enjoying, I think, my grandmother's birthday celebration. Losing control here. So my father came back from Washington in 1957. He had this wonderful exchange of correspondence with the president. He said, you know, you've been a great addition to the country's defense, and we really value your service. When my father decided that he had needed to get back to Canton, Secretary of Defense had previously announced before the election or after the election that the Secretary was going to resign, and the President offered the position to my father, but he turned it down because he needed to get back to Canton. He did arrange for his dear friend from Cincinnati, Neil McElroy, whose board my father served in Procter & Gamble, who was the President of Procter & Gamble. He did arrange for Neil McElroy to get position in his place. So when my father got back to Champion, he didn't give up his political and defense contacts in Washington. He even hired the retired chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff as a consultant to Champion. And he would go to Washington and call him, Neil McElroy would call him for advice on defense issues. They called on him to help with legislation. We developed very good relationships with to his nomination. I got to get to that because the senator from North Carolina who headed up the Watergate Committee, Sam Elizabeth, was on the committee that oversaw his nomination. Senator Robertson said, Mr. Robertson's a fine fellow. I know his father well. He's one of our greatest citizens. And he then proceeded to move the nomination. He said, despite the fact that Mr. Robertson moved to Ohio from North Carolina. And he made good friends with a number of important senators, so they wanted to tap into that when he got back to Ohio in the presidency. And he could not give up on being involved with political affairs. He started speaking out on defense issues around the country. And he developed an ambition to get the vice presidential nomination in 1960. He was well positioned to do that because he had tremendous contacts in the business community and friendships with the leaders of most of the major companies. Ministry around the country. He had all these contacts and friendships with military leaders, defense officials, Republican Party officials, and my mother was not happy about this. She didn't like her life in Washington. And my grandmother was